Welcome to Mindful Mostly. I'm Andrea Collins, and yeah, I'm pretty into mindful living. I mean, mostly. This show is about balance. It's a wellness show, but an honest one. I need to tell you something. I was walking down the street 2 days ago, and a bird flew into my face. Into my face. Now, here's the thing. I have an insecurity that I have a big face. Yeah. Ever since this jerk I dated when I was 19 told me when we were in a fight that my face was like disproportionate to the size of my body. And my body wasn't all that small, so I have a giant face. And then a bird flies into it. You know what? And side note, this guy was such a jerk. Remember when you think back to the guys you dated and you're like, why? He cheated on me and I took him back so I could go on a free trip to Mexico with him and his family. No dignity, just no self-worth. So what he left with me was the giant face complex. And then a bird flies into it 2 days ago, which a friend asked me, was it a pigeon? Was it a large slow bird? No, it was a sparrow. And she was like, ooh, they're usually pretty nimble and can maneuver around quite a few things. That's your face eclipsed its flight path. Yes. You really want to hear the word eclipsed when it comes to your face. So the other thing that's weird about that, though, and this is where, this mindful mostly balance comes in, is that birds and feathers are what I usually ask for when it comes to a sign from the universe. I hadn't particularly asked for a sign that day, but can you imagine if I had, how literally in your face that sign would have been? By the way, if you haven't listened to the episode, How to Hear What the Universe is Telling You, make sure you go back and listen. It's a few episodes ago, and it is still there for you. It's going to blow your mind. All that to say, this is perfect timing for the guest we have on Mindful Mostly today. It is my friend Meredith Shaw, and she is going to tell us the 3 things you need to do now to feel sexy as hell. And these are the things that, it's not gimmicky. It's not like everything you've heard before. She is literally the authority when it comes to body confidence. And I'm so glad she's going to be on the show to give us that extra pep in our sexy ass step today. But first, I got to thank you guys for listening to the show. Honestly, it's been life-changing for me. And I hope for you too. Mindful Mostly is supposed to be that real girl tool to helping you transform your life in a sort of mindful way. Mindful is a buzzword these days, but I think it's a handy word because it makes sense in every aspect of your life. You can be more mindful when it comes to confidence, like we're talking about today, in your work, in your routines, your relationships with others and yourself, whatever it may be. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. And if you haven't joined the community on Instagram yet, please do so at Mindful Mostly and subscribe and review this podcast on iTunes, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to your podcasts. That is like la creme de la creme and can really help this podcast grow to even more people. Plus, we got a book giveaway for all those reviewers, so make sure you stick around to the end of the show. Going to be giving away the Crystal Muse Book of the Week. But first, it is time for the Soul Nugget. And it is this. There's 2, actually. Remain humble, but still let those bitches know. And also this gem. Trust the next chapter, because you are the author. Yes, write that. Meredith Shaw is here. She is the curvy style authority. In fact, no matter what body you have, if you want to start feeling confidence, more of it, right now, today, without having to lose that 10 pounds or get that perfect routine going, this is the show you got to listen to. She's also a broadcaster, a beautiful model. In fact, she's all beautifully done up right now because she just came from something. And hello.
Hello.
I'm so glad you're here.
Oh my gosh, how fun is this? I love this podcast.
This was just like we ran into each other and it was like, Meredith, you have to come on the show. And you're like, okay, great. I'm like, you have to come on right now.
like today. Like, let's just go down the hall and do it. So here we are.
Because I think it's coming to that time of year where we're all starting to think about like, what did I do to my body over the winter? Or you're not feeling as comfortable in your own skin because you're like pale and you just don't feel sexy.
100%. We've been hibernating.
Yeah, big time. Big time. And so you're going to tell us how to fall in love with your body right now and really get that power back when it comes to loving your style.
For sure. I mean, I really feel like style is power. It's certainly played that role in my life. And when I didn't know what I was doing when it comes to style, when I would open my closet and these pants that I wore, 2 years ago would like laugh at me and judge me. And I still kept them because, maybe I'll do a juice cleanse and it'll happen. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, no. So I really think it's important that when you open your closet, you're not just being taunted by all these past style moments, that you really have a closet that you can wear right now. Because oftentimes if you can't get yourself dressed in the morning in a way that makes you feel together and happy and, the best version of yourself, then, maybe you're not going to get out the door, first of all. Maybe you're going to be like, Netflix, go back to bed. Mm-hmm. And if you do get out the door, maybe you're going to not meet that guy you swiped on Tinder because you just don't feel cute. And maybe he's the love of your life, right? Mm-hmm. Or maybe that job interview could have been the one. So I really feel like, style gets a rap of like, oh yeah, it's fun and fashion-y and only fashion people really need to concern themselves with it. But I really feel like it's an everyday person kind of a thing because it's powerful in your life. And if you feel good about your closet, you will feel good about your life. It's just true.
You're even part of making over some people on television, right?
Yes.
And so when you do that, you revamp their closets. What kind of stuff do they get back to you with feedback on how their life has changed afterwards?
Oh, for sure. It's such an emotional experience. I mean, that's the real key is that, yes, it's, style is power, but it's so emotional for people because we hang on to so much in our clothing, right? We have so many vulnerabilities with it. Sometimes we, those vulnerabilities manifest in a way that we just give up. Right? Sometimes we're just like wearing oversized stuff that doesn't work, or we're stuck in the past. Like we're in some sort of decade that is not now. Those jeans worked for you, 18 years ago, and it's just really not working for you anymore. So it's sort of two camps. And definitely I feel, after the fact, people get a little how-to, and then they take that knowledge and they can go shopping and do it now. They can do it on their own. It doesn't take much, but once you know what you're looking for, and once you really have the confidence to go own it, your closet becomes really fun every morning.
That sounds good.
And I think what the cool part is, especially with fashion as far as it's come in terms of technological fabrics and all that kind of stuff, is that you can feel the way you feel on the couch. Like you can feel that comfort and that style. It really, really is possible. And I also want to make a little side note here. If you haven't tried on shapewear since you watched it on Bridget Jones, however many years ago, and that one scene that everyone remembers, like I need to wear these panties to get him to want to take my clothes off, but then then he's going to see these horrible knickas or whatever she says. Yeah. Terrible British accent. But I think you need to try on shapewear again. Pick and choose. Like if you're going to a reunion, you're going on a date or whatever. Like I'm not saying it's every day wear some shapewear, but don't be afraid of it. Like in my model kit, you mentioned that I model. Like I've got so many different things, like pieces and bumps and stuff and padding and shaping. And so that's what you see, these images of these women, models, whatever. We're all in the little, help me out stuff. So
what tips would you give people then to really take back that confidence?
Yeah, I mean, falling in love with your body now in that confident kind of way. I think there are a few different steps that you can actually put into practice. And one of them, and probably the first one, and I think your listeners are already doing that by tuning in to Mindful Mostly, is that you got to become mindful of that meanie voice that talks to you in your head on a constant loop. That is sort of right there to be like, you're wearing those pants? Or you think you can pull off a jumpsuit? Like that horrible girlfriend who is not a girlfriend. I think you need to be aware that she's there and be able to be like, okay, acknowledge and, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Basically.
Because chances are when you leave the house in that jumpsuit, people are going to be like, damn, you look so good.
Damn, you look great. Because no one is thinking as much about your stuff as you are. No one. Because they're all thinking about their own stuff.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
if you just take a step in that style direction, people will be there to support you. So you got to be mindful of that voice and learn how to sort of slow down your reaction to it, right? Because if you can just hear it and not react accordingly, fine, acknowledge the presence, but kind of move on. Also, do something kind for yourself right now. I think a lot of us have goals, like health goals, great. But it's like, oh, I'm not going to buy a really good pair of jeans until I lose 10 pounds, 20 pounds, whatever. And what I found, totally personal experience, if you buy those jeans or have the facial or whatever you're giving yourself as a treat, as the carrot dangling 20 pounds from now, 5 pounds from now, whatever it is for you. If you actually do that now, that kind of self-love, you'll be more motivated to make a healthier decision at lunch, to go to the gym later. It's all about kindness. I really feel like when we quote unquote fall off a health wagon or whatever, we think we have to get harsher on ourselves and sort of meaner. And I really have found in my life the opposite is true. That's when you have to be so warm and fuzzy and kind to yourself. And so buy those jeans now, feel good about your clothes and your body right now. That will get you to your goal later. And then get moving. Fall in love with what your body can do, not just what it looks like. Get moving. If it's a yoga class, if it's a run, whatever, hiking, walking your dog, whatever that is, if you get moving and start being like, oh man, I used to take me, 10 minutes to walk up that flight of whatever stairs, and I can do it in 7 or whatever that is. I think that's a really motivating factor, and it starts to be like, oh, my body is amazing.
Yeah, and I saw some lists the other day of like things you can start doing to live your best life forever, and it included everyday movement. Not necessarily
100%.
like a hardcore, CrossFit class, but just like going for a long walk or a jog or whatever it was.
Exactly. Something manageable that you can do, but that again reteaches that mind that your body is not just here to look a certain way and to wear clothes. It's also here to move and function, and it's an incredible temple that you should adore, no matter where you are kind of on that health spectrum. And then I think too, find your tribe. Like get online, get on Instagram, follow some people that maybe kind of look like you in terms of your body, that are getting dressed. Like I know I have a lot of people that follow me at Meredith Chaturano.
Yeah.
That, I always tag where I get stuff from. And I got a lot of women who follow me and say, oh, I didn't know I could shop at Le Chateau. I'm a curvy girl. And you know what I mean? Like whatever the brands, kind of follow people that you might be inspired by. And, you don't need to even really reach out to them. You can just baby step, kind of just follow and get inspired and find your tribe.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your story? Because, if you do go to her Instagram, you'll see what she's up to. And it's really quite incredible. You have, I think, the only column in Canada for Curvy.
It's
curvy
wild
women?
that we're still at that stage in 2018. But yes, it currently is the only monthly style column on a, every month basis, dedicated completely to curve fashion. And I think that's one thing in terms of Canada, the U.S. Like we're a little behind there. Canada needs to up that, and I certainly love being a part of that. But we're looking to a lot of people in the States, like the Ashley Grahams, who are on the cover of Sports Illustrated. These are incredible feats for curvy bodies. I mean, actually, let me take that back. It's not incredible. It should be, but in the media landscape, it is kind of a quote unquote incredible feat. But yeah, I mean, for me, I've always been a curvier girl, although growing up, we didn't have the term curvy. It was just like chubby. It was just like, there wasn't any cute word for it. Luckily, I was kind of funny and all that stuff. So I never felt kind of outcasted by it, but I definitely didn't feel like the hottie in school. That was not my thing. Like, which I think is kind of okay. Like if you're listening right now and you're not the hottie in your school, like you've kind of,
I think you're a better person. You turn out to be a better person.
Yeah, you can peak later. Like, you can totally peak later. And I think, too, not having that looks currency or whatever right away, it sort of forces you to develop other things like personality and humor and smarts and, interests, that kind of stuff. So I certainly, grew up with a little bit of that on my shoulder. It wasn't like the most fun being that size. I definitely still remember like having to go shopping and wanting to hide sort of my plus size style bags. Like I just wanted to go shopping with my girlfriends, but I kind of couldn't. So I love right now that there are so many brands that are, having extended sizing in the store themselves, because nothing makes me happier than seeing like a body diverse group of high school kids just at the mall on a Saturday all shopping.
Yes.
Because I used to just be able to buy shoes.
Yeah. I hate when I was very overweight as a child, and I was in brownies. None of the cute little dress outfits fit me. So they had to special order me a pantsuit. A pantsuit.
Oh, God. No.
And so I hated brownies, and so I didn't go, and then it like scarred me for life. And that shit sticks.
Pantsuit?
A pantsuit.
That's more complicated than just one of those little jumpers. Dear Lord.
No, those things stick with you.
Yikes. Yeah, they do.
And now I think it is the perfect time that things like, thank God for high-waisted pants is another thing. If you're walking around wearing low-waisted jeans, like you're not going to be living your best life.
Ever. For anyone, no matter what size. Yeah.
So if people want to follow your story and they want to read more, you have the hashtag #WeTheCurvy. Is that right?
I do. Yeah. I mean, that's the name of the column, and it's something I wanted to do because I really feel it's an empowering statement about it, and it's also because it's all of us, right? Like we are all, on some spectrum of this. I mean, very very few people are exactly like a straight size model in a magazine. That's a very slim portion of the population. And I think what's, businesses are getting hip to is the more people online shop, the more they want to see bodies online in the clothes that look like them, because they can't try on those jeans. But if you see the model is a bit more like a size 10 or a size 12 or whatever, you can I can kind of imagine myself in that. So yes, it's about companies kind of being diverse, but it's also about dollars and cents, right? It's a business that's working. So I love seeing that across the board. And yeah, I share a lot of my sort of triumphs, but also, moments where stuff didn't quite turn out. I mean, I was also involved in the music industry, and that was a bit of a harsh time for me because they liked the voice, they liked the song, didn't really like the body. So I was
Really?
Yeah, I've had a lot of that feedback kind of coming at me, and it hit me in big ways. I was not well with it for a long time. And so it really took me deciding, and it was thanks to Oprah.
Really?
It was an Oprah moment, Andrea.
Oh my God, what was it?
Well, there was an interview with her that they said, what's one of your regrets? And of course, Oprah's like, I have no regrets. Like, I don't believe in regrets, right? But she did say, then she kind of doubled back. She's like, actually, I do have one. I regret how much time I wasted in my 20s and 30s and 40s worrying about my weight, like worrying, thinking about it, going up, going down, dieting, changing this, all this stuff. Because then she said, and this was the real kicker for me, imagine what I could have done with that time. And it's Oprah. She's done a lot. And in that moment for me, it was just one of those change moments where I was like, I'm not wasting time about this anymore. If this is how my body is, this is how it's going to be. And what is so kind of full circle about it is once I kind of let go, that's when my body started to kind of find its groove, because I'd been, sort of overeating and undereating and exercising and overexercising, like back and forth. My body sort of didn't know what the heck it was, because it didn't know if tomorrow I was going to not eat or the next day I was going to eat too much. Like, it just had no real sense of what was going on. And once I started to just kind of be mindful, be kind, get moving, again, keep it sort of simple, my body found its size and its groove. And now, like, if I want to have a bunch of pizza on Friday or something, like, I'm not waking up on Saturday morning and I look like a different person.
Yeah.
Like, it just sort of is part of the deal. And oddly, I now, speak to women across the country. I'm signed in the States as a model. Like, it's wild when you kind of just live in that kindness with yourself and decide to just believe you're enough. It's crazy.
It's
what
pretty
happens.
crazy, right?
It's really wild.
On this podcast, we talk a lot about, manifesting and believing in yourself and exactly how your life changes when you do, and how when you really start to put those wheels in motion, of owning yourself and owning what you want your future to look like. Like if you can define what that is, it's incredible how it works out.
The universe is there to meet you. I mean, as like airy-fairy as that sounds, like if you are willing to sort of to do some of that work and look inwards and kind of really, wrestle and rumble around with some of those feelings, and then you're also prepared to work your butt off, it's wild what will show up to you. Because once you start that ball rolling, then other things find you. Like I was modeling. I was sort of one of the only ones sort of doing that in that way. And then Canadian Living was like, oh, do you want to write this thing? And then I started, from modeling on the television, then I started talking on TV again because of something I know a lot about, something I'm super passionate about, and something I'm willing to be vulnerable about, which I think is, no one wants to hear you talk about something that's perfect all the time. Like It's just boring and it's not helpful because immediately our senses go up as like, this is fake.
Yeah.
This is fake. I don't like this person. She's selling me something.
Yeah.
Right?
And we immediately spot it now more than ever.
More than ever. We're such an intelligent consumer now across the board in terms of media, everyone is like hip to what's up. So I think even more, it's just that power of being vulnerable and not being vulnerable. I don't know if I'm able to explain this, but do you know when people are vulnerable and you almost also feel like they're selling you something with their vulnerability?
Yes.
Like, here is the ugliest photo of me possible.
Yes.
#brave. Like,
because I
I'm
think
just like, what? You're also, this is just as bad as many filters.
Yeah, and I think that that's become what marketers are now saying to everybody, you have to be vulnerable. So people are like manufacturing a vulnerability.
Exactly.
You're totally right.
And it's just sort of, there's something about that too that makes me itchy. I'm just like, no, it's okay to be aspirational. Like that's one of the things too, especially with all images in fashion, but especially with these sort of curve images that are being created. You can, because so many people say to me, oh, but you're not like plus size. I'm like, yes, I am. Yes, I am. Like this is a plus size body and I'm cool with that. Like I'm size 14, I'm 5'10", this is what this looks like. Because I think there's been a lot of attention given to plus size as sort of one extreme, which is great because it's like, let's have everybody out there. But I think it's still, even with people who support me or what I'm up to, they have this like, yeah, but you're not really. And I'm like, no, I am. Like, I'm proud. I'm happy. This is a great thing. So it's still a time for a lot of work to be done. But it's definitely come like leaps and bounds. I mean, I was at New York Fashion Week just a few weeks ago, and I mean, there's so many curve models walking major runways for major designers. And it's not just, for a little token of something. I mean, these girls look unbelievable in the clothes. They fill out literally the clothes beautifully. And so I think that's changing a lot. A lot of the red carpets for award shows, that's changing a lot in terms of curves on the carpet. So yeah, it's an exciting time to have a bit of a different kind of body.
I think that's nice to hear because sometimes you hear that change is happening, but you go, is it really though? Because I'm looking at this, Versace commercial in this magazine and those people are skinny as hell.
Right.
So you're kind of go, is there a movement happening? Because sometimes it doesn't look like it.
For sure. And I think there are always going to be those fashion images and, kind of as they should. Fashion came, fashion is one type of thing. And then like we were talking about before, style in terms of everyday what we need and what we buy is maybe another thing. But I mean, I think something like I just saw Ashley Graham again. I'll name drop her, one of the, if not the top curvy models and models in the world. She is in a Revlon commercial. So to me, that is like, oh, we're not just, and it's not, there's nothing about her size. It's not about clothes. It's about beauty. And so I think when we start to see diversity on that level too, that really is change.
Mm-hmm. I think that too, like guys on a dating level, we're so into like skinny mini chick forever. And that was like the only way. And then maybe it's that now the guys that we would be dating are also grown men, but like everyone's accepting of sexuality in all shapes and forms, being attracted to all shapes and forms.
Yes.
Because they're probably seen that,
for sure,
in whatever their music videos, for instance,
Totally. And I mean, I think too, like we always say, it's about that confidence. And I think women are now of all shapes and sizes being given the opportunity to own it in a way that they didn't. And owning it is sexy. So like with whatever kind of style trend or whatever, it's got to fit. But you also, if you can own it, I think you can rock it. And strangely enough, and it sort of brings a slight tear for me to say this out loud, but the real, I think, start of this, and people are like, oh, I liked her until she said this, is, I mean, Kardashian. The Kardashians were one of the first, if you think back to when they first started, like it was Paris Hilton, you know, like that in terms of reality stuff, like she very typical model, long and lean. And Kim was the curvier one, right? Like she was, and no, Kim is incredibly small. Let's not.
Have you seen her in real life?
I've never met her in real life. Have you?
No, I haven't. But I was just thinking she's probably one of those people that's way smaller than you actually think they are.
I'm sure she's a Polly Pocket person, like most really famous people are, for sure. But there's something to be said about that boom, boom, boom.
Yes.
That, you know, and J-Lo. Like these were the originators of like shapely is maybe sexy.
Yes.
And then there was the harkening back, Marilyn Monroe and all that kind of stuff. But that in terms of pop culture takeoff, and now people have taken that and run with it in terms of, you know, major body positive activists and fashion models. But there is something to be said about the Kardashian contribution to this.
Yeah. You're 100%. And I was thinking that to myself. She's been posting a lot of like naked, pretty, like nipples blurred out, but naked pictures lately.
Right.
And I go like, damn. Good for her.
Yeah. I mean, her waist is like itty bitty.
She's flat in the right places and big in the whatever. Hey, speaking of, want to go eat some Thai food next week?
Definitely. Yes, girl.
Oh my God. It's been so great having you on the podcast.
Thank you. I'm so thrilled to be here. I just love that you're doing it. And I feel very special to be here.
So follow Meredith at Meredith Shaw Toronto. Thanks for coming on, girl.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, love that Meredith Shaw was on the podcast today. Also love that her and I are going to just mow down on Thai food next week. Talk about body confidence. That's balance, right? That's mindful, mostly balance right there. I think that she gave us such good advice, and I think that falls in line with this week's challenge, which was something she mentioned about being kind to yourself. It's not nice when we constantly remind ourselves of how we don't fit into those pants or how our hair isn't as thick as whatever, you know? Get rid of that thing that reminds you or makes you feel like you're not good enough now. Because having it around does nothing for you today. So let's say it's that pair of pants. Get rid of them. You know what? Chances are, once you can fit back into them, they're not going to be cool anyway. Throw them out. Give them to someone who's going to like them better. And look forward rather than backwards. Okay? Get rid of that thing this week that makes you feel bad. That is it. Let me know how it goes. Now, we had a book challenge going on this past week. It is for the book Crystal Muse, Everyday Rituals to Tune into the Real You. And if you haven't heard the episode where we talk about crystals and how to choose the right one, that is the last one. You can go back and listen to it. But the contest was in exchange for your reviews, to someone who leaves a review. And I want to mention this one. She says, I love Mindful Mostly. Her approach to balanced wellness lifestyle is so relatable and helps remind me that it's okay to eat chips or skip yoga. I can still be healthy. Yes, girl. It's so nice to get wellness information from someone who isn't preachy and over the top XO. That is so awesome. Thank you so much, Ainsley J. You are the book winner this week. DM me on Insta, Ainsley, because I don't have your email right here at Mindful Mostly. And until then, guys, I'll be dropping a Mostly mini-sode this Friday. So we'll talk to you when we're a bit closer to the weekend. Have a good week.